In 1978, the three highest grossing Hindi films of the year, Mukaddar Ka Sikandar, Trishul, and Dawn, all had the same lead actor. 5 years before that, the same man was sitting on 11 consecutive flops and thinking about quitting. 11? This is the story of the biggest flip in Bollywood history, and why it took two writers and one very angry decade to make it happen. The lazy version of this story is Amitabh Bachchan was talented, so he became a star. But talent doesn't explain the timing. Plenty of talented actors spent the early 70s going nowhere, including for a while Amitabh himself. Before 1973, the Hindi film hero was a romantic. He sang, he charmed, he suffered nobly, and the audience loved him for it. Then one film flipped the template, and for the next decade, the biggest hero in India was an angry man fighting a rigged system. That flip wasn't an accident, and it wasn't one man. It was a persona engineered on paper by two writers that collided with exactly the right moment in Indian history. And once it landed, it didn't just make a career, it changed what a hero was allowed to be on an Indian screen. To see how deliberate the whole thing was, start with how close it came to not happening. By early 1973, Amitabh Bachchan had racked up roughly 11 straight flops. 11 films, one after another, that nobody went to see. His bright spots were supporting roles, most famously opposite Rajesh Khanna in Anand, which is an 8.1 on IMDb even today. But a good supporting turn in someone else's film doesn't make you a star. By his own account, he was close to walking away from acting altogether. Meanwhile, director Prakash Mehra was shopping a script called Zanjeer, a cop stripped of his uniform, out for justice. The biggest names in the industry turned it down, Dharmendra, Dev Anand, Rajkumar among them. Why? The lead role had no songs to croon, no romance to carry, barely even a smile. It was against everything a hero was supposed to be. Every bankable star saw it as career poison. So the role fell to the flop actor with the deep voice, the man with nothing to lose. Zanjeer released on May 11, 1973, and became a blockbuster. The industry had a new phrase for what it had just seen, the angry young man. But the actor is only half this story. The other half is two writers nobody credited. Zanjeer was written by Salim Khan and Javed Akhtar. Salim-Javed. When the film's posters went up across the city, the names weren't on them. Writers didn't get poster billing in those days. They were hired hands, paid and forgotten. So they hired a jeep, drove around Bombay at night and stencil painted, written by Salim-Javed, onto the posters themselves. Think about the confidence in that act. Before the industry agreed, before the record books existed, they were telling the city, the script is the product, and the numbers backed them. Between 1971 and 1987, Salim-Javed wrote 24 films, about 20 of them hits. 11 starred Amitabh. Take Deewaar in 1975. Made for about 1.3 crore rupees, it grossed 4.75 crore in India, trade estimates, roughly a 265% return, and the number 3 grosser of the year. Their hero was new, a working-class man wronged by the system who breaks the rules the system wouldn't bend. And in mid-70s, India, rising unemployment, inflation, corruption, and then the emergency suspending democracy itself, that hero didn't feel like fiction. He felt like the audience. Which brings us to the film where the persona went supernova. August 15, 1975, Sholay. Budget, 3.5 crore rupees, enormous for its time. First run collections in India, about 15 crore net, 35 crore gross over its full run, trade estimates. Adjust that for inflation and 2014 estimate values, Sholay's total haul at around 15 billion rupees in today's money. But the money isn't even the famous part. At Bombay's Minerva Theatre, Sholay ran continuously for over 5 years, 286 weeks. 5 years. The record it broke, held by the 1943 film Kismet, had stood for 3 decades. It logged 60 golden jubilees, meaning 50-week runs, and became the first Indian film to celebrate a silver jubilee in over 100 theatres at once. And the persona travelled. In the Soviet Union alone, Sholay sold about 60 million tickets, and estimates put its lifetime worldwide admissions around 250 million. Then came 1978, the year the persona simply owned the market. The top 3 grossers of the year, Mukaddar Ka Sikandar, Trishul, Dawn, all Amitabh. Not top 3 roles. Top 3 films, 1 face. Around this time, French director François Truffaut is famously said to have called him a one-man industry. Whoever coined it, the data made it true. But the real measure of what he'd become came 4 years later, and it wasn't a box office number. July 26, 1982. Shooting a fight scene for Coolie, Amitabh mistimed a jump, hit a table corner and ruptured his spleen. Emergency surgery. On August 2nd, doctors declared him clinically dead before reviving him. What happened next had no precedent for a film actor. Nationwide prayers, radio stations broadcasting daily condition bulletins, crowds outside the hospital. For days, the biggest star in the country lay in a hospital bed while the country held its breath outside. He recovered, resumed shooting in January 1983, and Coolie released that December, a hit in front of an audience that had spent months praying for its star. Think about what that means. A movie persona had become national property. The angry young man wasn't a character India watched anymore. He was someone India refused to lose. So, what actually rewired Bollywood? Three things locking together. Supply. Two writers who treated screenwriting as authorship, built one repeatable hero, and prized themselves like stars. Demand. A decade of joblessness, corruption, and the emergency, hungry for someone who hit back. And the face. An actor whose failures made him believable as the wronged outsider. 11 flops will do that. Remove any one piece and the flip probably doesn't happen. The script existed before the star, and the anger existed before the script. That's why the template outlived the decade too. Once the industry saw that a hero could rage instead of romance, every generation since has minted its own version of him. Bollywood didn't create the angry young man. The 1970s did. The industry just finally printed him. And the reject from 1973 never really left. In 1999, BBC News Online ran a poll for the greatest star of stage or screen of the millennium. The whole millennium, every industry, every era. Amitabh Bachchan won, ahead of Charlie Chaplin, Robert De Niro, and Laurence Olivier. A global audience voting on the internet picked the man Bombay studios had written off as a flop machine in 1972. 11 flops, one rejected script, and one angry decade. That's what it took to rewire an industry. If you like the business and the history behind the films you love, subscribe. There are more stories like this on the way.